butt. Did you touch the water? Oh, gross. Oh, you got my glasses.
And away he goes.
Good morning.
Good morning. So, we were up at 5 a.m. this morning.
4:50.
4:50, with the goal of getting to the ferry to catch the 6:10 ferry going toward Olympic National Park. And when we arrived at the ferry terminal to pay for our ticket, the lady helping us, she looked over, she said, "Is your propane off?" Like, yeah, it's always off when we drive. I said, "Okay, hold on 1 second." She goes in, she's like, "Okay, it'll be $80 and you've made it just on time. So go into lane 2 and go right on the ferry." And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not terribly awake. Wow, okay, that's really weird. I thought we'd still have another 45 minutes. We made it before 5:30. And then Jillian, who I think is a bit more awake in the morning than I am, said, "Oh, cool, we made it for the 5:30 ferry." So here we are on the 5:30 ferry. We're actually just about to arrive in Kingston, which is across Puget Sound from Edmonds, where we took the ferry. And Edmonds is about half an hour north of Seattle. And we thought, hey, let's take the ferry and we can go outside and see what it looks like. We'll have a good view of Puget Sound. But we didn't consider the fact that, well, two things. One, COVID, and they've requested everyone stay in their vehicles unless they have a very good reason not to. So we are in our vehicle. And two, at 5:30 in the morning, there isn't a whole lot of sun to illuminate the area. So I can just barely see a little bit of the outside in our side view mirror over here on the left, and it is just pitch black.
So we spent the week in Seattle hanging out with friends that were in town from Boston, which was so much fun. And absolutely fabulous to catch back up with them again, is that we haven't seen them since the end of June, and so it's been over 2 months, and we used to see them all the time. And then we also hung out with some friends of mine who live in Seattle, whom I haven't seen in 2 years, and Sebastian hasn't seen in 7
Yeah, we had a hard
years.
time remembering the last time that
Yeah.
it didn't seem like that long ago, but I think it was 7 years ago.
Right, so it was great catching up with them again, and it was so much fun, you know. We got to watch a fabulous sunset off of a roof deck. We also went to Gaslight Park and enjoyed the view from there. We hung out in the camper and we fixed our fridge.
Oh,
It was
yes.
the best day ever!
Exciting news. We did have a couple, about I would say a day and a half of downtime from activities outside of the camper, so visiting friends and visiting Seattle. And spent that time going through a surprisingly long checklist, I think, of to-do items, which included installing the new control module thing in the fridge and then trying it out. And we are very excited to report that we once again have a fridge that works on propane, which is very exciting because I think we're 90% certain that the campground we are going to does not have any kind of hookups, no electric, no water, no sewer, so we're effectively on our own, and it's wonderful that we can use propane instead of electric, which means we don't have to the whole like buy ice
We don't
every
have to buy
day,
ice.
and it worked good as a band-aid, but we're very happy to have working propane operation once more. For our fridge, what else did we do? Oh, we installed a new table leg, which maybe we'll have to show at some point when we do a tour of our RV. So our dinette was at a set height previously, which was fine for sitting down for maybe half an hour or an hour to eat a meal, but it wasn't very comfortable for using a computer. It was far too high for a computer. So we purchased an adjustable height table leg and replaced the previous leg that we had under the dinette table, and I think that's also been really
It's so nice.
so we have a new table leg. You washed the front of the RV. Something we didn't know before we got started traveling with an RV is that you basically commit a small insect genocide along the way as you're driving down the road. Half of them end up on the front of the Jeep and the other half end up on the front of the RV.
Yep.
And man, is there a lot of them.
So many bugs. And Washington State has these dragonflies
Yeah, there's some
that
huge
are
dragonflies.
seriously like 4 inches long.
At least.
They're giant.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I don't think I saw any dragonfly mess on the trailer, but there definitely were a couple caught in the vents on the Jeep, so that was fun to pick them out.
Yeah, so we cleaned up the front of the trailer. I think we cleaned up inside too a little bit, reorganized.
Yeah.
We're about a month and a half, 2 months almost into our travels, and so we were able to go through some of our things and figure out what we haven't used, and throw things away to lighten the load a little bit. We had a big checklist, and I've forgotten what a lot of it was. I guess I'm going forward. Here we go. Back away just a little bit from there.
I need to know where we're going.
Okay, so I think we'll check back in with you guys once we get to our destination. It looks like it's still dark outside.
Yep.
And we've got, I think, about an hour
And a half.
hour and a half of driving till we get to our campground.
Yep.
one of the things that has really surprised us about Olympic National Park so far is that there are some wildfires off to the east, and so there's smoke. Like, I've never seen anything like that before. Situation right now, in that we are currently at the Olympic National Park in Washington State, and there's a lot of wildfires going on. So yeah, it basically just means that the national park is deserted, for lack of a better word, and we're staying at Heart of the Hills campground, and which is on the northern edge of the peninsula, kind of in the middle of the national park, or middle of the top edge of the national park. And our campground is absolutely beautiful because we're in the rainforest. So I kind of want to show you guys around and show you some of the cool aspects of our campground and some of the campsites. So we actually have this whole loop to ourselves. There are 4 loops within the campground, and we're the only ones in ours. So it's Sunday, so you would expect it to be a little less busy, but maybe not quite so dead. This is one of the really cool campgrounds. It's a little small for our rig. We didn't want to back it up into this teeny tiny little spot, but the down trees are just very cool. Yeah. And because there's no one in our loop, Sebastian has Marley off leash and is practicing the infamous COME to get that dog to do it when we want him to, which is great. It's nice that we have a spot to let him run, get his anxiety out. It's probably been a little pent up for the last few days. So this is actually 2 sites that are very pretty, but very close together. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. Biggest issue that we have, and the limiting factor of our stay here, is that the canopy is so dense that we get absolutely no solar power from our panels. So we basically can only stay as long as our batteries hold out. We've been on conservation mode for the last few days. It is nice that no one's around. Not gonna lie. And it's weird that the fallen trees are actually what give it its kind of whimsy, untouched by human appeal. And then here's actually a very good view of our campsite. So I think I might do a little bit of yoga, I think. And yeah, see you guys around. So this afternoon we decided to go for a drive to the coast because we have looked up online and it said that the air quality is better near the northern coast of the peninsula that we're on. But as you can see, the air is thick with what we know some of it is smoke. But we're actually wondering if some of it is also fog.
I suspect that it'll actually be worse once we get to town. Unlike what our intuition told us, which is that smoke rises, and so if you stay low, you have clearer air. I think the right answer is that hot air rises, which causes smoke to rise when it comes out of fire. But once the smoke particulates have traveled and they've cooled down, then they are just suspended in the air. So if the air is cold and heavy and it comes down, the smoke particles also come down.
So I wanted to show you guys like how crazy the smoke is right now. Like that boat right there, you know, it's not far away, but it's already really obscured. And then across there is actually the city of Port Angeles, which you really should be able to see. We think some of this is fog, but we're not 100% sure. It definitely smells like sea air, but it has this undertone of like, it's not like a campfire that you would expect with the smoke right now. It's more just like the smell of char, and in weird ways. Sometimes when you look up at the sky, it looks like a apocalyptic red haze when the smoke is really thick, which is why we think that some of this is fog, because it's actually quite white. But yeah, the air quality today is unhealthy according to every source that we looked at online, which is one of the reasons we decided not to take a hike today. We want to kind of limit our time outside to save our lungs, because you can definitely feel it, generally like right in the back of your throat. You don't notice it as much until you get into a clean air situation, and then you go, oh, I can breathe better. It's really weird. It's something I've never encountered before. I've never been this close to a wildfire, you know, on the East Coast. You don't get those very often. So, yeah, this is our kind of crazy day in Port Angeles.
Hello.
Hello.
Today's episode of Lunch with the View has been postponed for an unknown amount of time.
Because of the view.
Unfortunately, there isn't much of a view. We are at the top of Hurricane Ridge in Olympic National Park, where we should have a view behind us of everything from Port Angeles, which is the town where the headquarters of the national park are, as well as the Strait of Juan de Fuca. Behind that, Vancouver Island, British Columbia, Canada, and all sorts of peaks in between us and everything I just described. Unfortunately, we just see
that.
Yeah, that.
It's getting better.
Today is the best day in about a week.
It is very unhealthy today, rather than
hazardous
and extremely hazardous as it has been
previous days.
Yeah.
So we decided to go for a very slow hike to control our breathing a bit more than we might otherwise. It's a nice hike. It's the whole trail is actually paved, 2.6 miles from the visitor center.
Asterisk 1.6.
1.6 miles from the visitor center. But unfortunately, as you can see, there are no views, neither here nor along the way here, which is a bit of a bummer. We should also be able to see, looking the other way, Mount Olympus, as well as its glaciers and a variety of other mountains and ridges in the region. But
Nope. Yay, forest fire season.
So, back down we go. We do seem to have much better air quality at our campsite, which is right on the water, about 40 minutes northwest of here.
Mm-hmm. I do love our campsite being on the water, though, with all of this fog, because there are so many foghorns going off on the ships.
This is true.
So you just hear all of this like foghorn noise. It's entertaining.
It's different. It's nice. We also have a view of the water, and actually, I bet if we could look that way, over there, you might just see approximately where our campsite is, since we also have a view of Canada, at least in our imaginations as we look into the fog. It's actually kind of funny because anytime we search for something on Google Maps, it brings up results in Victoria because it's closer to us than
As the crow flies.
As the crow flies than Port Angeles, even though Google doesn't seem to realize we are in the United States, as our location says, and we're not allowed to cross to the other side.
Nor is there a bridge across that body of water for us to get to.
Yeah, so kind of funny. All right, let's maybe head back down and we'll have a lunch with clean car air instead of a view.
And then maybe a rainforest hike.
Maybe a rainforest hike.